Hi and welcome on Mindset&Co. If you're new here, my name is Maureen. I am a breathwork and anxiety relief practitioner. And today I am with someone very special, Whitney from Tula community. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming to here to my space.
Yes, you're welcome.
Can you introduce yourself? Like, what is it that you do? Who are you? What do you do?
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, my name is Whitney, and I'm the leader and founder of Tula community, and so I work primarily with spiritual entrepreneurs in a few different kind of areas and sectors, and that all came to be with like some time. There was like some kind of figuring out how I wanted to do things and the way I wanted to do things, but at the moment I'm working primarily with entrepreneurs, creative and spiritual entrepreneurs in photography sessions. So I take their photo, and I work with them in my podcast as well, and interviewing them, and also in a small business group that I've put together where we all meet once a month, typically online. And it's a great group of women at this point, but we'll take anyone if it ever happens. If somebody else wants to join, they can, but a man or anybody that identifies as such, and so we'll take them. But right now it's women, and that's what we do. So we meet and we connect and we chat and ask each other questions and look to each other for support and all of those things. And I also teach yoga as well. And that's not really part of Tula community anymore. I just kind of recently separated the two and made more of a distinction between the yoga teaching side of myself and then the stuff with Tula community. So yeah, Tula community just incorporates the photography, podcast, and business meeting.
Wow.
Yeah.
She does it all.
Yeah. Lots of stuff. It's good though. It's good, but lots of stuff.
I'm going to put all the info in the description, by the way, if you want to reach out to Whitney and see what her work is, if you want to follow her on Instagram, it's going to be in description. So yeah, thank you for that intro.
Yes, you're welcome.
Let's dive into, I have some great questions for you today.
I got great answers.
Super interested into what you do. So the first thing I wanted to know was, how did you come to do it all? Like, how did you start?
I was not born this way for sure. I definitely didn't operate like this most of my life. I was kind of like lazy actually most of my life, but okay, but continue with your question for sure.
I love that.
But yes, continue.
It's super funny because sometimes people start business and they're like 15 years old,
but
most of us we're not that.
No. I was like way too busy, just being a mess, a bit of a mess, for sure. But anyway, sorry. Please continue.
No,
with your question.
I love the honesty. I can relate to that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, how did you start your business? Like, how did you come to find yoga, photography, and all the community work that you do?
Right. So how did I find yoga and when did I discover photography? Is that kind of the beginnings, I guess? Yeah.
When was the moment where you were like, okay, I'm going to start a business in this?
Right.
What's the story behind it?
Yeah. So I had always wanted a business. It was always a very big part of my personal feeling and philosophies and understandings of life and existing and doing what you want to do with your life. And so I would say since I was even when I was young, I did a lot of entrepreneurial type of things. I never did something extreme, but I did little things where I would try to sell stuff to people or whatever. And then I would say most of my young adult kind of years, I knew that I wanted to always do my own thing, and I've never liked working for others, and I feel like nobody does. I feel like that's such a common thing that you hear, even for people who don't have a business or don't want a business. They just hate going to work, And so, but for me, I really felt so much resistance to working at a business or somebody else's company or whatever it was. There's just something about it that there's so much that doesn't work for me. And there was always so much that I could observe in businesses. And I've only really worked for small businesses my whole life, but I can observe how they go about doing things and where things need to be different and how they can shift and where they're falling short and somebody told me once that I could see the skeleton of a business very easily, you know, and that I was like very quick to pick up on that, you know, and I never really thought about that, but somebody told me that once, and ever since then I was like, yeah, that's actually kind of true as I start to think about how I view things. And so so I had known that I had wanted to do that, and so the yoga really was the thing that started me doing business. I didn't really think that that's what would really get me get the ball rolling. I started doing like some cooking. Like I used to make cakes for people, and I would top them with like real flours, and I did like a pastry apprenticeship and like all of this stuff, you know. So I thought it would be like cooking and baking is what would like make me have a business, you know, and all these things. But then the yoga came along. And that really gave me a lot of like confidence, because I had this like real like training and this tangible thing to like do, and I started the Instagram, and then through that, like it was amazing. Like all of the yoga work that I do and did like back then really gave me a lot of confidence to like then pursue all of the other interests I had, like things like photography, and knowing that I maybe wanted to podcast one day, and knowing that I wanted to connect with people and all that, you know. So that's how that came to be.
I didn't know you used to bake.
Yeah.
Professionally.
Yeah. You know, and it was only like something that I did for myself. Like I did only that training in New Zealand, the pastry apprenticeship training that I did, and I was able to like you know. I was basically like kind of just like gifted with that opportunity with this wonderful pastry chef that she lives there now. Her name is Tamara Pendola, and she's amazing. And so blessings to her for letting me work with her. And she taught me how to make French macarons, and it was like always such a dream of mine to like make these macarons, you know. And so I went to like a workshop that she did, and then she's like, I need an apprentice. And so when I got back to my hostel, I was like, I will be your apprentice. I messaged her, and she took me on, and it was amazing. And I learned so much from her. She's incredible. So, I thought that that's what I would do as like a business. I always thought that I would like cook and be like some sort of chef or like baking or something like that. And I always wanted to have like a cookbook and whatever, but that's not what is happening now. Maybe one day, but like that's not what's happening now, as you can tell.
Right?
Yeah.
What was the shifting moment for you when you're like, okay, I actually want a cookbook and I want to do all the bakery stuff to, okay, actually maybe I'll do yoga.
Yes.
Was that kind of like a seamless, like a kind of go with the flow, like, oh, it's happening, or was it more of a definite cut?
Yeah, really good question, because I had a list of things that I liked to do or that I had interest in for all of my 20s. Like I had this list that was, and I had a goals list, and it would be like 3 months, 10 months, or like, I don't know, 5 years, 3 years. And I would write all these things down and all of my interests. And I never knew what I wanted to do like fully as a thing. Like I never knew what I wanted to actually apply myself to. So for years and years and years, I would recreate this list, and it was always the exact same things. It was like, I like yoga. What could I do with that? I like baking. What could I do with that? I like cooking. What could I do with that? I like, you know, photography. Could I do something with that? And it was, I still have all of these papers. Like if I go through my stuff, you know, I see them and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like I did achieve some of these things. I am a yoga teacher now, like, and I wrote about this 10, 15 years ago, you know? And so the shifting point was when I was making the cakes, they were gluten-free, and primarily most of them were vegan. And I was doing that, and I was kind of doing that in the back and forths of like coming between like going to New Zealand and coming home. I did like a few stints where I came back home, and I was selling these to people, and it was like a real thing, but it wasn't like as established as something like Tula is now. Like it was never, you know, I had a Facebook page and like an Instagram and whatever, you know. And I was charging money for them, but like nowhere near what I should have been charging, because you know how that is when you first start a business, you're like, oh yeah, $30 is good, but it's like really should be like $150, you know? Exactly. And so I was like losing money, quite a bit of money. And I realized that like baking these cakes, even though I know that challenge comes with everything, it was like super challenging. It was very stressful. It's very expensive, and like food stuff comes with so much annoyance of like regulation, and like everything has to be, you know, like safe and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I don't want to like do this. I just feel like, and ingredients like don't last, like they expire, like your inventory can go bad. And like, and I was thinking about, I was like, I don't think that this is like the thing, at least not right now, and not in the way that I was doing it at the time. And so I signed up for yoga teacher training with no really expectation. Somebody asked me if I was excited about it, like knowing that I had practiced for like 10 years personally, you know? And I was like, not really, you know, like, oh, are you sure? Like, whatever. And then I did it and I was like, boom, like, and it was amazing, you know, whatever. And so that was the transition. It was just like realizing that baking is like super challenging. It stressed me out. It like was, expensive. And I also didn't want to like be around food that I was just eating all day too. I was like, I don't really want to like be tempted by like all of this like food all day. I was like a little nervous about that because I was like, man, if I'm just like around all these cakes, like all I'm going to do is eat. And I kind of don't want to like, I don't really want to do, it's not the lifestyle that I'm going for, you know? And so that was a bit of a small bit of a consideration.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
It's super interesting what you're saying, because it's the perfect example of starting a business because you have a passion for something, and then realizing that it's different from, you know, doing it at home for fun, in your own time and for fun. Exactly. Because now there's actually a goal behind it, and you need to, you know, have orders and money and all of that coming into place when you have a business. And the fact that you were able to say, okay, I actually don't want that, I think first of all is really brave, and second is the true spirit of an entrepreneur, because like I feel like a lot of people who, you know, had this entrepreneur mindset and they had a couple of businesses before they found, you know, what really works for them. And that's just so interesting to me, what you just shared, because maybe some people can relate here, and you know, it's not bad to actually say, okay, maybe I don't want to do that anymore. Maybe this business is not working for me anymore. It's just maybe you need to switch some things in it. And so, I just found it really interesting.
Yeah, you know, and that's a lot of why I never have, like, I know a lot of people who either want to do their own thing, they are partially doing their own thing, they fully do their own thing, or they even just want to maybe do some training where it's not their business. They just want to become a yoga teacher, but they don't want to have a business with it. They just want to teach at a studio kind of thing, you know? And a lot of them won't, like I meet a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't know, because I don't really want to like do all that training or do all that and have it be a waste and have it be whatever. And, what if I start like baking and then 2 years later I realize I don't like it and I spend all this money doing it. And I always feel like, I always say to people, I'm like, just do it. It's okay. Like, it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, to start something, do it for 5 years, and then pivot and change. Like, many people do that. And I think that that's actually amazing and beautiful. And it gives you so many more opportunities, skills, connections, like all of these things. I went to university, I dropped out, and like some people were kind of like, oh, like what's with, like, why did, you know, like that's not good. Like you should have stuck it through, like kind of a waste. And I'm like, I don't view it as a waste at all. I learned a lot. I like developed a lot of new understandings, new skills. I got some great knowledge, whatever. And that's just the path. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I would never be hard on myself for like giving up the baking and whatever. It's like I needed to do that. I had to try doing that to see. And every little thing that you do leads you to like where you are now. I would never be where I am now with Tula if I hadn't tried to like sell those cakes. And it did feel very like brave and vulnerable to even try to sell these things back then. Like that was very, you know how it is when you first start, it's scary to be like, I have something of value, you know, will you pay for my service? Like it's really scary to feel like not a lot of people have confidence in themselves to even say like, I have something for you and it costs this much, whatever. Like I didn't have that confidence initially. It was terrifying to be like, yes, here's the, you know, like here's the thing and you need to give me like $50, but it was like super hard to come up with a value. And I always lowered my value. I think all of us kind of did at the beginning, you know, or you just wanted the sale and like you just wanted to, you know, like, yeah. And so I think it's super important that you just do everything. Like don't put yourself in a bad position like financially, but just do as much as possible, also just for life, not even just for like getting any sort of like capital gain off of it. Just do stuff. There's nothing, it's beautiful. You can do anything.
For fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like when you start a business, then you start realizing how much you can do because you literally have to do it all.
Everything. Yeah. We are the everything
Every
person. Yeah.
single job.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So that's
for
a
sure.
great lesson
Yes.
of life. And then you have so much skills
Yes.
when you start doing
Yes.
it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's actually pretty insane.
Yeah.
when you
Yeah,
think
it
about
is. It is for sure, you know, and somebody said that to me once. They're like, well, at least if like one day, like if Tula doesn't work out, like you'll have all these skills and whatever. And I was like, yeah, like in my head, I was like, yeah, good point. And then in the other back of my head, I was like, absolutely the fuck not though. I was like, Tula's working out. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I'm not like going to be like, you know, doing anything else. This is what we're doing, you know? And so it's like, yes, I do have all these skills. You've developed all these skills at this point, whatever, but we're not doing anything else. This is what we're doing, at least right now. You know, at least right now, this is what we're doing. Yeah.
I think it's beautiful when you're in a space of I wouldn't see myself do anything else than what I'm doing now.
Nothing.
So this has to work.
Yeah, it has to work out. And for me, like I don't even. It doesn't even have to be like what Tula does right now. That has to be my forever. That probably won't even happen. I probably won't always take photos of people. Like when I'm 50, I might change my mind, do something else, and that's normal, fine. But it'll always, I think, be something where like it's from me and like from my heart, and not maybe potentially like working under someone else's what's the word, like working under someone's company or working under what was it
Working as an employee.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to do.
What was it?
No, thank you. See, look, I'm not even competent. No one should hire me. I feel like I don't even know how to put words together, so please don't hire me.
Well, you're a great entrepreneur.
That I could do. Yeah. You could trust me with that. Yes, that's fine. Yeah.
Wow. I feel like you've touched another great point of maybe when you start a business and you have something in mind and suddenly you're like, oh, maybe I kind of want to twitch it a little bit and do something else. I feel like most of us do that. We start with an idea of how, like, what it should be and how it's going to be, and then slowly we kind of shift and tweak that.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the interesting part for me as well, because you started with yoga. Did you start photography at the same time or not?
Not in a way that was like business related. Like, are we talking about like now Tula stuff, like into Tula stuff, or just life stuff?
No, like
Tula stuff. Yeah. So the photography came I would say about 2 years after the yoga stuff started. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So yoga first.
Yeah. So you added that on top. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the passion.
Yes, lots. Yeah.
So how do you feel right now about your business, and how did you first felt about the business, like in comparison of when you started, and how do you feel now about your business?
Yeah, I think it's something that now is much more established. It's something that people are seeking without me having to really try as much, like not without trying. There's still a lot of work and energy there. But I was saying this the other day about how when I first really started the yoga and when I first really started the photography, I was reaching out to people like left, right, and center, like direct message, email, phone calls, going in person, like applying myself, like just giving people like advertisements, giving people whatever, and like messaging, on Instagram, being like, I have an offering, you should attend. I have an offering, you should attend. Do you need photos? I'll take photos. I'm free this day, whatever. And doing so much of that. And that is fine. Like, it's great. It still is actually a very good method. It's a lot of energy, but it's like a good method. It works for sure. But now I'm at the point where I still do a little bit of that, of course. Like, I always follow up with people, especially if they've said, like, I need this one day, or I need this from you, and I'm thinking about this. I always make a note of that, and I will follow back up with people, and I don't leave that, because that's very important to me to, like, have a... I want people to know that I never forget, that I always remember what they want and what they need. I don't forget anything, and like I do genuinely like love and care for all of these people that I work with, right? And so I'm at the point now where people are seeking me a little bit more just on their own. Like, I'm receiving people being like, can you do this with me? Or what about this day? Or when are you free? Whatever. And that feels so special. Like I remember the first person that just like messaged me from like a kind of a referral. I guess somebody told her, oh, Whitney takes photos, you should like whatever. And they messaged me and they were like, hi, I need like pictures and so mention whatever. And I remember being like, it's working. Like, you know, like I was like, we made it, you know, like, yeah. You know? And so for me, like now at this point, I feel like I'm really living and breathing Tula like much more than I would have, of course, at the beginning. Like it's a completely different thing. For me, it feels definitely much more real than it ever was, especially at the beginning, because the beginning is like still so much to figure out. Whereas now I'm like, no, we're like, everything is happening every day. Something's happening. Like I'm applying myself to this in a completely different way. And it just feels like it always felt serious, but now it feels even more serious. And like slowly but surely, you know, working towards the point where I don't need to work for anybody else. And like, we're not that far off from that now, which is just like such a blessing. I feel so grateful that like slowly but surely it's happening, you know? And so, yeah, the feelings I have, I don't think have really changed too much. How it shows up and how it is now has changed, but my feelings are the same because I just love it so much. Like I just feel like so in love with my work, and I feel so blessed that people like trust me to do any of the things that I do with them. Yeah.
Because at the beginning of a business, sometimes we don't always have the network and the referral and the word of mouth. And then when that establishes itself, and suddenly you have people coming to you after all the hard work and all the energy you put in it, is the best word. Like, is this working? And it's just the most beautiful thing ever
to watch it come together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's all you've been dreaming about, right? When you start the business and you put so much energy into it, and at first maybe you don't have the results, you don't have anyone really interested in what you do. And however long it takes, you know, when you finally get that back, the people coming to you and the references, even if that maybe, you know, a year ago someone came to you and suddenly they're giving you a referral for someone else a year later.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
This is just the best feeling.
It is. Yeah. Because it's leaves an impact on whoever you did work with, or whoever you like met in passing too. Right. And like, I think it's super important for people to take what they're doing seriously. And I feel like now, because I'm much more rooted in the understanding that like this is what I do and I want to do it and whatever, I think it's very important to take it seriously and to be extremely open to whatever is out there, like opportunity wise, whatever you see, you know. And it's like, I would always recommend to someone to like get a business card, make a website. That's like huge, you know. And I feel like that's super simple advice, but extremely helpful to be like, here's my card. It's like a physical thing that it also shows that like you're taking it seriously, and it gives someone like something to take with them, to be like, oh yeah, this person, you know. And so like having things like that where like, yes, I'm taking it seriously. How can I provide like good service for people? How can I show that I like, this is a real thing, you know? Like you would market and share about somebody else's business or like a company's business, no problem. You would be like, oh, I bought these at Lululemon and I love them and blah, 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 blah. And they're great. But like, where is that? You have to find that for yourself. And it's very, very challenging to be like, yes, I take great photos, which I don't feel, but like I take great photos and you should totally hire me. That's really hard to say.
You do.
Thank you. But that's hard to say. Like, it's very challenging to feel as confident or as like, proud of your work, or to whatever as it is to be like, yes, these Lululemon leggings, like I could go on for 30 minutes about like how I bought these and they're amazing and they've got pockets and the fabric is so soft and blah, blah, blah. It's like giving all this praise to something, but where can you do that for yourself and like feel confident? And like everybody that's doing their stuff, you are all doing good work. Like everybody's doing amazing work. And I think that they should feel confident in that. And as for being like open to opportunity, like I feel like for me, I just listen to like the people that I'm around. I was just on Salt Spring and I was at the market, and it's like amazing. You know, it's all pretty much entrepreneurs, like small business people, whatever. And this woman, I bought these earrings actually from her. I bought them, and she was telling me, like, I was like, oh, do you have an Instagram? Because I thought I'd probably buy something else one day, whatever. And she's like, no, I'm kind of like redoing stuff, and I don't really like Instagram, and I'm trying to and I blah 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 blah, you know, whatever. And I left, and I was like, okay, like, you know, cool, whatever. And then I thought to myself, you know, I should probably go and see like if she wants help, and like what does she need with that, and how, and like what she means by that, and how can I like support this situation, because I'm already working with entrepreneurs so often. So what does she need? And so I went back, I bought another pair for my mom, and I said to her, I was like, you know, you said about how you don't like Instagram. What's that about? She's like, yeah, I just like, it's hard. You know how it is. Like, I feel like people, like, some people just don't like it. You know, it's like it's a lot of work, and you want to make it nice and blah, blah. And I said, well, what do you need? Whatever. And I said, is it okay if I take some pictures of your product now and I'll send it to you when I get home? She said, yeah, of course, you know, whatever. So I left her my card. I told her I would come back because I will be back soon, and I will support her if she needs. And I'll take these like nice pictures of her product, whatever, and I'll send it to her so at least she has more to work with. And that doesn't even have to go anywhere. I don't care if it does or it. I'm not attached to that going anywhere. And I do stuff like little things like this all the time. And if it goes somewhere, beautiful. And if it doesn't, beautiful. Like, it's fine, because that's just what it was. And so I think it's really important to stay open, listen to what people are saying, and how can I help? How can I make that better? Like, if they're already saying this, that means that they're needing it. They want it. They're like, I'm not very good at this. Okay, so how can I help you to do that, right? And I think I always tell people to have like no shame. Like, just have no shame. Like, you know, really, like, don't be nervous, don't be hesitant. It's okay. Like, I get nervous too, obviously, no problem, you know. But like, have no shame in whatever. Like, make 30 phone calls in a day, or like knock on the door, send the emails, like, ask. People are gonna say no, fine, but ask. Ask for everything, even promo codes to get a discount. Just ask. It doesn't even know anything. You know, people will give it to you. It doesn't even have to be for business. Just have no shame.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. Like,
you're right.
What could be the worst?
They just say, no, we don't have it. You know, and if you're like friendly about it too, like, I think that's a huge aspect too. It's just like, well, what's your approach? You know, like, are you looking for something to like, that, you know, would benefit you, or if you're looking for something to help people, whatever, your approach is like super important. How are you going into it? Are you being like, hi, hello, so nice to see you, how are you doing? Oh, that's beautiful, blah, 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 blah. Can I ask you, I really would appreciate a promo code for this. I would really appreciate doing some work with you. I really feel an interest in your work. Your approach matters, you know, and I feel like I see a lot of people, and I work with them too, where people will message them on you know, Instagram for a service, and they'll say, hi, how are you doing? Like, what's your rate? And the person says, hello, my rate is this, you know, my rate is this. And then maybe they get the client, maybe they don't, but typically sometimes they don't, you know. But what is nice, or what would have been really great, is, hello, thank you so much for messaging me. That's so great. I'm glad you're here, blah, blah. Make it authentic. Like, don't make it full. It doesn't have to be bullshit, you know, whatever, but make it authentic. Thank them, acknowledge the situation, and then get into that, or ask for more information before the rates come into play. When people just met with like money right away, there's resistance. Even if it's a good deal or bad deal, there's resistance from people. They need to also know that you're willing to be like, hello, like, so happy to have you here. Bring the human element in, and bring the love, bring the kindness, you know, bring the softness, bring the safety for people. If they're going to hire you, they want to feel safe too.
Thank you so much for watching this episode today. You can find the full episode and listen to it on Spotify at Mindset&Co. I will be putting Whitney's information in the description, as well as my own information. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in another video. Bye!